Hi, True Avatars, and welcome to your weekly queer video game podcast. This is episode 62, and I am your host, Zoe Wild. I'm a transgender and bisexual. I almost said transgender lesbian because I've been talking to Amy Lynn lately. I'm not a lesbian. I'm bisexual, and my pronouns are she, her. As you can hear, we have a celebrity in our midst this week, crawling back to us after her big boost of fame as Gaming Meg's Streamer of the Week. It's Ekamy. Ekamy is a pansexual gamer who can be found on Twitch streaming games, cooking, and book club. How does it feel to be one of the elite 1%, Ekamy?
I didn't know you were gonna do that intro. That's great. It was a lovely surprise. I remember getting, checking my phone after work, and I was mentioned on Instagram, and I went, oh my god, I was on Gaming Meg's, Streamer of the Week. That's pretty darn cool. And a bunch of my friends and followers have commented, so I've gotten a lot of support, which is really nice. Yeah, I didn't think I'd get on. I just threw my name in the ring, and then I was like, oh, maybe they'll do something. But, yeah, it was just really nice.
I know at one point when they started doing it, I was like, Ekamy and Lloyd, take them, put them up, highlight them. So I do have one question for you, actually. And maybe you haven't checked or you've been busy, but have you seen a little boost in subscribe on Twitch? You have to pay for subscribers, but followers, whatever the free version of following someone on Twitch is. Have you seen a boost in those numbers?
So on Twitch you can follow for free. It's subscribing that's the money bit. But I haven't checked Twitch, but I do think I've seen a bit of a boost in my YouTube followers or subscribers. And definitely a boost in views from the last few streams that I've done. Although that might also be a little bit based on the game I'm playing because it's new. But
we'll talk about that in the what we've been playing section, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what
newer for me. It's an old game.
That's fair. Okay. Well, so we'll talk about what we've been playing a little bit later. We're going to get into the headlines this week as well. Cause we're going to have to get our big gay expectations in check for the Game Awards because, there's not going to be a couple of queer games that we were hoping to see are definitely not going to be there. It was announced. Yeah. Officially confirmed. Steam censorship does continue. You can see the void on Amy's lap right now.
Yep. That's my cat. Hello.
Steam censorship continues actually, but the source is weird this time. It would have been normal 10 years ago, but in the big 2025, it's weird. There is some good news actually regarding the Electronic Arts purchase, kind of, and an actor in an upcoming queer game has sadly passed away. And then for our segment, it'll be a little bit shorter of an episode this week. We're all kind of busy and we're getting into the holidays now and it's been a long autumn for me anyway.
Yeah.
So it's a bit a shorter episode, but we're going to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33, or as I like to call it, Sexpedition 33, because it's gay.
We're going to talk about that more.
Yeah. Cause I didn't know it was queer. And so we've been neglecting it on the podcast all year. So we're definitely going to get into that a little bit. But before we jump into everything, I do have a few quick favors to ask of you, True Avatars. If you like this podcast, please leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. Spotify has ratings and comments, while Apple has reviews. Engagement like comments, ratings, and reviews helps to grow the podcast. And a growing podcast means a happy podcast host who is forever happy and fulfilled that you enjoy listening to her show, which creates an infinite feedback loop of more episodes, more happiness, more episodes, so on and so forth. So please go leave a comment, rating, and or review. If you're watching the video version on YouTube as well, please like this episode, leave a comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you're the first to know when a brand new episode drops. Also, please follow True Avatars, a queer video game podcast on social media. There are accounts on Blue Sky, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at True Avatars, and you can also find the podcast on the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com. No spaces. And remember, this is a weekly queer video game podcast, so check in every week. I'm going to bring you news, interviews, and up-to-date discussions that are relevant to queer gamers, so you have a safe space to check in on the world of gaming from a 2SL LGBTQIA+ lens. Takes a breath. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, well done.
Thank you. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Ekamy, please, as my guest, and as, of course, our elite 1% celebrity guest, please go first.
Yeah, so I've been playing, most recently I've been playing a lot of Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which is a game from, I think, 2008. I actually had the game on Wii many years ago, and I think I might have sold my copy. I never actually played the main story when I had it on Wii. I remember the Wii had a 2-player mode, which the PlayStation, I think 3 version didn't. So I would go over to I'd bring over my copy to my friend's house and we'd just play 2-player where she'd play Darth Vader and I was Starkiller and we would just wreck like just was a bunch of stuff. So now I'm like, I want to play the main story in the campaign. So I've been streaming that. And I don't even know how long the game is, but I think I'm a good, 4 hours into it at this point. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's one of those, games where I've heard a lot of, like, praise for it. People love it. They're like, this is a really good Star Wars game. And I've played another, like, couple great Star Wars games, like Knights of the Old Republic. Like, people praise that one, and I was like, yeah, I gotta play it. Loved it. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of that, which has been great. And then, I recently finished a game that I've talked about on the podcast, months ago at this point, called Cross the Moon. I recently finished that, and it was really, really good and super queer and super cool, and just like, it was just, I really, really liked it. And, I think, after that, I started following the main, like, writer. I'm trying to find the artist, behind the game, because I don't know if they're on social media, but I followed the writer on Blue Sky. And interestingly, so he's Patrick Granville. He also makes, like, music analysis videos. Like, he looks at video game music, and I think he's got, like, a background in music, in music, I guess. He has some educational background on it. And so he's analyzing, like, Final Fantasy, Rebirth songs, most recently. And he does some really interesting videos. So I'd say.
He sounds very familiar. I think does he do Pokemon analysis as well? Like, music analysis?
I know he's in Toronto. That I know. But
that's cool. Okay.
Yeah,
we like a good local Canadian queer, or at least Canadian writer.
Yes.
That has worked on queer games at the very least.
Yes.
That's cool.
How about you?
Going back to The Force Unleashed super quick.
Oh, okay.
Cause like that was like kind of like the last big Star Wars game that came out in the 2000s, like the aughts, that was like well received, right? Because there was Knights of the Old Republic, there was Knights of the Old Republic 2, then there was The Force Unleashed, and then Knights of the Old Republic 3 got canceled, like really close to completion as far as I know. And then like after that, like George Lucas sold the franchise to Disney, and video games kind of stopped, right? Aside from, I think, like the Lego games.
Yeah, well, there was like Star Wars, the Battlefront games, I think were pretty big, but I know there was also like.
But those were a little bit before, right?
So I know like Battlefront 2 was pretty early. I thought they came out with like maybe it was a Battlefront remake or something, but I think it was on like PS4. Those were
not well received. Those are famous for, you needed a sense of pride and accomplishment to unlock Darth Vader. I remember that.
I remember, yeah. So I think it's been a while since we've gotten like one that's really praised so highly. And to be honest, like one that's also like an original story, because Force Unleashed was an original story. I believe it's deemed not canon at this point, just because like it, of what happens, I guess, specifically. But yeah, it was, I think also it had a sequel, and I don't know when that came out, but, I don't know if the sequel was as well received, but, yeah.
I didn't even know there was a sequel.
Yeah, I only know it because, when I bought it on Steam, I got it like a double pack, like a bundle. And this edition I think I have is upscaled or remastered or something like that, because it's called the Ultimate Sith Edition, and I'm like, ooh, okay. So, yeah, no, it's
not the Absolute Sith Edition.
Yeah, Sith don't deal in absolutes. Can't do it. Just gonna move my cat. Hold on.
Poor Bo.
He just wants
to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
today he is an honorary gay.
But yes, what about you? What have you been playing?
Well, this week I've kind of been like dabbling in a bunch of different things. I've picked up some games and some sales. I was playing some Mario Kart World. I was playing some Super Mario Party Jamboree. I just kind of dipped my toe into those. I only like play those like very kind of rarely at this point, just cause like it's with like other people. I generally don't do single player content, and like there isn't really much single player content in Mario Kart World, and Mario Party is obviously a multiplayer game, right? Like you can play it solo, but there's not really much reason to. But I did pick up in the Black Friday sales Fast and Furious Arcade Edition, which is like I forget what game this company also made, but it's like another like really popular arcade game, like an arcade racing game. Anyway, so this Fast and Furious game is like, it's really good. Like it's you're basically playing like a very linear racetrack And each race like has like a very specific goal. It feels exactly like playing in the arcade, except you don't put in a coin. Otherwise, like they haven't really changed much. They've just made it so it works with a controller, and so you don't have to put in money. But each race ends with like, oh, you got to get here and destroy the train, or destroy the drone, or catch up to the plane before it takes off. And so, but in order to do that, you have to come in first in the race, and they give you a bunch of cars from the movies. I always pick Paul Walker's cars because I always liked his cars the best.
Nice.
But for anyone who's seen the Fast and Furious movies, like the that one famous is it an El Camino? I don't think it's an El Camino, but it's the black car that's always in Dominic Toretto's garage with the big engine sticking in the hood, and he's always got the cross hanging from the rear view mirror. That car is in it as well, and there's a couple other cars in it. But like, aside from the gameplay feeling very linear, like if I drift or if I like hit a wall, like, or if I do something like that could run me into any kind of wall on it during a jump, it just course corrects me. And I wasn't really a fan of that. I like a little more challenge, like a little more freedom when I'm driving. However, it does feel really fun to play as like if you go to like Universal Studios and like you go on a ride or something, like it feels very on rails of like a ride, like at the end, like it feels like you're in the movie in the race. And I think I would like a full game with a little bit more story around this concept. I think it'd be really cool. And I also jumped into MLB The Show 25. Because they've updated it since the World Series, of course, I booted right into it. And, you see right away that the LA Dodgers are like the highlight team because they kicked Toronto's butt in the, World Series. And so I picked the Toronto Blue Jays as my like team.
Yeah.
Like my favorite team. And I started playing with the Blue Jays, and it's got the roster, like the most recent roster of players from, the World Series. And I just jumped into a 3-inning game. I'm like, you know what? I just want to try it. There's like all kinds of really cool settings to start the game off. Like it like asks you how you want to pitch, how you want to like what mini game you want for each action.
Okay.
Like how, like, do you want the players to automatically field the ball for you? Do you want to, do you want to tap a button for which base, or do you want to aim? For pitching, you can like do a quick time event, or you can aim, or you can do like in a golf game where it like fills a bar and then you press X and then you press X again. And then you know, it like gets the pitch accurate. So you get to like, it goes through all those options, you get to test them. And so once I picked the options that I found, most comfortable for me, because it doesn't really care which ones you pick as long as you're happy with them. I jumped into a 3-inning game, and the default team that the Jays were playing was the LA Dodgers. And I thought it was really funny. And I also, just like the final game of the World Series, went into extra innings, which I thought was also really funny.
Very nice.
But I did end up winning. So at least spiritually I can pretend we kicked the LA Dodgers butt. So
that's awesome. That's really cool that they have all those options for like setting up to how it how it like best feels for you, like if you're playing a game. So I haven't played any. I think the last like sports game I played was probably like a FIFA football game or something, like I don't know, when I was 10. Right. But so it is
none
interesting
of the Mario
to hear.
sports games?
No, not even.
Not even Wii Sports.
Well, okay, no, I did play Wii Sports. That's fair. Cause I got that with the Wii.
That's
but,
true.
Yeah, no, but like I don't know, I had like a neighbor who used to get like all the FIFAs and stuff, and I'd play that. But, so it's nice to hear about just like updated, even just at this, like I feel like it would be very close to like accessibility controls, it sounds like. So, that's cool.
Yeah, I really like it. I haven't played a baseball game since, like, I've played the Mario baseball games in the intervening years, like, off and on, but, like, those are, like, a little bit, like, especially the Wii version, the Wii Mario baseball game is a lot like, Wii Sports in a lot of ways, like, it's very motion controlled. So, like, you're just kind of, like, chuck the ball, swing the bat, catch the ball, like, it's very simple. I haven't played a baseball game, like, a proper, like, simulation of the Major League Baseball League. I don't know why I said league twice, but I haven't since High Heat Baseball, either 2003 or 2004. And I love those games. I was really sad they didn't continue. Microsoft bought the developer and then just stopped making the games. But, so I haven't played something like that in like 20 years. So jumping back into it, I was like really happy that like it hasn't really changed too much. And all the angles in the game too, when you're playing, look like it does when you're watching the game on TV, which is like really fun.
Nice.
So it feels like you actually get to control the players when they're messing up. Just kidding. But yeah, that's basically, yeah. But that's what I've been playing. So we talked about Cross the Moon. We talked about Star Wars The Force Unleashed. We talked about Super Mario Party Jamboree, Mario Kart World, Fast and Furious Arcade Edition, and MLB The Show 25, as well as some peripheral games. But those are the games that we actually played this week. All right. Shall we jump into the news?
We shall.
Okay, first headline here is that Naughty Dog's next game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophecy? The Prophetic Heretic?
Heretic
No, the Heretic Prophet.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. It's a mouthful. I think
Close.
it's probably... It's one of those games where they probably couldn't trademark Intergalactic as on its own, so they had to add a subtitle to it.
Yeah.
To get the title. But anyway, Intergalactic is what we're going to refer to it as from here on out. But last year it was revealed at the Game Awards. That was the big reveal. We haven't heard anything about it since, really. But according to Jason Schreier, while he was refuting a rumor that the game was coming out next year, apparently the game isn't coming in 2026 at all, and could even be later than 2027, actually. And apparently also, this is even worse to hear, but it could even skip the PS5 entirely, which kind of is a bummer because I feel like the PS5 has definitely gotten the shaft after Sony greenlit and then like promptly canceled, like I want to say 10 plus multiplayer games.
Yep.
So
yeah,
we also won't see, sorry, just one last little piece here and then I'll let you say your piece, but we won't also get any more game news for the Intergalactic at the Game Awards this year. We won't hear any news. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that we've gotten like a nice, trailer, like launch kind of, or not launch trailer, but like reveal trailer. And that's more or less it. I fully, with how long it takes for games to come out, especially with AAA games, I was fully expecting this to come out like 6 years later. So this is unsurprising to me, but it is a bit of a bummer if it does skip out on PS5 entirely. But I mean, if it gives them the time they need to, to really like fine tune the game and make sure that it looks, that it plays well and, they get everything across that they want to get across with the story, then, take the time that they need. So.
Yeah. I'm happy to wait as long as possible. I don't really love it when devs announce games too early, but I know sometimes they do it so they can they can hire for the game without spoiling things for fans. But it's just a little bit of a bummer only because The Last of Us Part 2, which was their last full brand new game, was 2020, right as the pandemic started. Yeah. So to find out that it might if what your theory is true, 2030, that's 10 years between games, right?
Yeah, that's fair. And not to mention, I believe I might actually be wrong about this. I thought that the latest PS Plus games were included Last of Us Part 2. I might actually be wrong about that. But I was gonna say if it is, then it would drum up some interest. Again, if people were like, oh yeah, I need to play this game still. And then they'd be like, well, I can't wait for the next one, the next Naughty Dog game. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm also hoping they're also secretly working on, or maybe repurposing what they had from the Last of Us online game they were working on, hopefully for Last of Us Part 3.
Oh, I didn't know about the online game. Or at least I don't recall it. Cool.
Yeah, no, it was revealed at the Game Awards, and I feel like Summer Game Fest, it was at Jeff Keighley events for years. They kept showing little pieces of concept art and stuff, and then Naughty Dog canceled it, actually for good reason, because they were like, if we finish this game, all our developers will have to basically be on support for it, making new content and making sure it works and all that stuff. They won't be able to make another single player game. And they were like, well, we want to be a single player studio. And at that point, I think it was Herman Hulst, I want to say, at Sony, PlayStation, who was pushing the live service games. He left, I think. This is Herman Hulst. Whoever it was there. Was it Jim Ryan? Anyway, there was someone at Sony who was there that was pushing the live service train really hard. And then, that person left, and I guess a lot of those games have been canceled since. Especially with Concord launching in the state that it did, to the reception that it got. Sony has gotten cold feet on, they got lucky with Helldivers, and I think, anyway, yeah. So I'm glad they kind of backtracked, but now because of that, all those games, all those developers they have, that were working on multiplayer games are, their next single player games are years away. The Days Gone studio, they might actually still be working on their live service game, but that's their next thing. Or if they got canceled, Days Gone 2 or whatever they're going to make next is years and years away.
Right.
So, a little disappointing. Anyway, speaking of bad news at the Game Awards, Witcher 4 also will not be there. Witcher 4, it is nominated for most anticipated game at the Game Awards, and it's possible it could win, but despite having a look at the game this year in Unreal Engine 5, CD Projekt Red has come out and said that while they're happy they were nominated for the award, they won't have anything new to show this year at the TGAs. They also said the game is not coming out next year. personally, I think, Intergalactic and The Witcher 4 could all be PS6 titles. Maybe they launch on PS5 as well, but I think they're definitely coming to PS6, probably on release day at this point, because if the PS6 is coming out in 2027, like...
Oh, is it
I'm just hoping...
a date?
That's what's been leaked and rumored, so... And it makes sense every 7 years, right? But my big fear is that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 is probably due out that year, and I really hope it at least comes to PS5 and is optimized well for PS5.
Yeah. I feel like they'll probably... have released it on both systems if that's the case, but it might. And honestly, if they're working on it right now, it's probably going to be like they're going to be working with PS5 specs in mind. So, but maybe I don't know. It depends on how they're developing it. I mean, with everything that happened with CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk 2077. I'm glad they're taking the time because that was definitely like a situation where they were like, this game, like, we have to release it at this date because we're being told to release it at this date, and it just was not in a finished state, unfortunately. I know it operates much better now.
It was not.
I remember you telling me.
Oh yeah, so I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but I've definitely told it to everyone who will listen to me, like in real life. But when I was playing the game, like, I was so excited I could create a trans character, right? Like, not just like her identity is trans, but like her body, everything about her could be as transgender as you wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really cool. And it was very early in my transition when this game came out. So I was like really excited to just have like see some trans representation in a brand new game. Mm. And I got about an hour into it and it's teaching you in the tutorial how to crouch. So I pressed whatever it was, square or circle to crouch behind this thing. Nothing happened. So I pressed the button again, nothing happened. I pressed it a third time, nothing happened. I pressed it a fourth time, nothing happened. So I put the controller down. I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. And then a couple seconds later, my avatar crouched, stood back up, crouched, stood back up again, all in quick succession. And I was like, all right, well, I'm uninstalling this. I can't, this is unplayable. So, and I was playing on PS4 to be clear, so. Yeah,
I still have my PS4 copy, which I'm sure is now like, once I put it into my PS5, it'll be just like fully patched and everything. I'm glad that they're taking the time with, The Witcher 4. I know those games are like quite beloved by the fan base. So, and like Witcher 3 is like celebrated very, very highly as like one of the best RPGs, by like friends I've known who played it. So, it'd be nice if they won that award as they were nominated, but don't mind. Sorry, if anyone's watching on the video, my cat's just walking across the screen. That's all I really had to say about that.
Yeah, and Witcher 4 is going to have a bisexual main character in Ciri. So.
Oh, cool. That I didn't know.
Yeah. That's actually the only reason it's like I'm talking about it on the podcast. Sorry?
That's Ciri?
I think so. Is Ciri not the main character of the... I think she's bisexual.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, my cat. Yes. I didn't know she was bisexual. That's cool though.
Yeah. I don't think they've ever actually outed the words bisexual in the game in reference to her, but I think she's been with women and men in lore, so...
Oh, okay. Cool.
Alright, let's move on though. Speaking of gay stuff, Flick Solitaire. I've been talking about this game kind of all year. It's a solitaire game that has, it's got a lot of queer, like pride, themed, card, skins, I guess you would say. Anyway, it is an LGBTQ plus card game, and it has been pulled from sale on Steam, and specifically in Russia. So this comes from Gayming Mag, your 1% elite here, your hero there, Ekamy. And they wrote, the removal comes immediately following formal notices from, I'm going to mess up the pronunciation of this, Roscoe Menadzor, that's not how you say that, 100%. Russia's media censorship body, specifically targeting the game's LGBTQ plus pride-themed content. So end quote there, but the censorship body also did request that Apple and Google remove the mobile version from sale. And surprisingly, Apple and Google did not comply with the order, but Steam did. Which is strange, given how quickly they're kowtowing to Trump in the US over even the smallest things. So gave and caved, but weirdly, Tim Apple or whatever his name is, and whoever runs Google, that do no evil, but now we're actually going to do evil people, are like, we're not going to listen to Russia. Weird.
Interesting.
Strange. Anyway, it's also weird that this has, this hasn't been targeted in the US at all, but in Russia it got targeted, and Steam listened to it. But anyway, any thoughts on this, Ekamy?
It's a bit of a shame. Interesting that there is that divide, I guess, of like those who are like, they're saying that we're not gonna like go through with that and bow to demands. But yeah, I don't know too much about the media censorship in Russia, but yeah, hopefully there's some maybe good that comes out of it, or maybe it just doesn't really maybe it falls through inevitably. I don't know, but
have you been on the podcast since we talked about all the Steam censorship stuff, like the payment processor stuff?
I think
have you been on to talk about that?
No, I think I was on before that. I have listened to some of the episodes though about that.
Right.
Yeah, that was
a celebrity listens to our podcast, everyone. That's an endorsement. You heard it right here.
This whole episode.
It's my whole shtick. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I have one joke,
and I'm gonna run with it.
Yeah, like transphobes.
Yeah, it's it was an interesting situation. I was, I think, more informed when the itch.io, whatever, that whole taking games down due to censorship or something like that whole thing was happening, but I don't really know what happened with Steam. I don't know, what exactly, where that ended up.
Steam did pull some games down, but I think that stopped for the most part. Like, this is the most recent thing. Like, actually, it's been really quiet for the last couple of months.
Okay.
Which makes me a little nervous, but I don't know, with everything that's going on in the US with Donald Trump, I feel like Donald Trump does this whole wave of really bad things, and then for a while it's quiet.
Yeah.
Like, he almost knows we can't take too much in one go, so he's like, I'm gonna do it all at once and then give you guys a break.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that's because he's taking a break, it's over. I think there's probably inevitably there'll be something else going on, so.
Yeah. I could see that.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There is some good news, though. Bad news for some people, but good news for us, everyone. So after the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund agreed to purchase Electronic Arts a few weeks ago for $55 billion, actually it might be over a month ago at this point, they are apparently running very low on cash and kind of panicking. So this comes from Video Games Chronicle. Please, I'm going to quote the article here, so just sit back, grab a coffee, tea, drink of your choice, and just, if you can bask in the sun, just enjoy this, because we don't get good news like this very often where our enemies suffer. So anyway, not that I'm hoping people suffer, but in this case, anyway, it's money censorship. It's money suffering. It's not people are in pain physically, so it's fine. Anyway, from Video Games Chronicle. Quoting here, the Saudi PIF has made sweeping investments in recent years and is central to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's goal of making the Saudi economy, I probably did not pronounce that correctly, less reliant on proceeds from oil. That includes numerous investments in the video game industry, including stakes in game publishers like Take-Two and Nintendo, and a recent $55 billion deal to take control of Electronic Arts. Don't worry, they don't own Nintendo, they just have a 7% share, or 6%, something like that. Anyway. Going back to the quote here, however, according to the New York Times, the PIF could be set to close its wallet for the time being due to several projects that are in financial distress. I love that. According to 11 people briefed on its operations. Those projects include Neom, a vast region and ski resort featuring robot workers, a coffee chain with one shop so far, a cruise line with one ship, and an electronic vehicle startup that has yet to deliver a car. Oh, I'd love to hear that. According to the New York Times sources, the PIF is actively restructuring its operations, and the prince has fired the head of at least one of its projects, Neom. It is also said to be drawing up plans to invest more in conventional areas like publicly traded stocks. Thank God. All right. I'm not religious either, but damn, that's nice to hear. Get your peanut butter out of my video game chocolate, I love this for them. I'm so happy to hear this. This is great news. I really hope maybe the Electronic Arts deal is so bad they just back out of video games entirely. You know what? We're not going to buy Electronic Arts. We're not going to buy Nintendo. We're not going to. Please, anyway. Ekamy, your thoughts?
Yeah, news to me. I didn't really know about that this was happening, but it sounds like they're the fund itself is it's just kind of trying to get its hands into a bunch of different pools, different I guess financial opportunities. And video games seems a little odd amongst what you just talked about. So I feel like there's probably a pretty positive chance that they're gonna just back out, unless they're just restructuring entirely and then they'll want to focus more on video games. But it just seems like if they're having financial troubles anyway, I mean, $55 billion's a lot. So I think it's, I think it sounds like we're pretty in the clear that they're just gonna kind of move on and think about where might be a more financially, sustainable decision. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they'd, but anyway, actually I do have a thought though. Video games actually are a very lucrative industry. I know it's not always the case for every video game, but like when a video game hits, like it's a big hit, right? And video games make more money than the movie industry, which is another big entertainment, part of the world.
That I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to have to dig up a source on that. Probably I'll try to make a note to do that. But I think video games do make a lot more money. Like, for example, like, very few, there's the occasional movie obviously that makes like $1 billion in a weekend, but like Rockstar can do that every time they launch a new game, right? Whereas like Disney's only lucky if like the new Avatar makes $1 billion in a weekend, or like Avengers Endgame makes $1 billion in a weekend. Just going to write down here. I'm sorry for typing. So it does stand to reason that like anyone who wants to make money wants to jump into the video games industry. But like right now is a very volatile time to do that because a lot of investment happened very early on in the pandemic because everyone was on home and playing games. So like every console was sold out, right? Like people were buying games left, right, and center. Animal Crossing New Horizons was the thing to play, right? People were, when a new game came out, like it was, and I spent a lot of time playing video games during the pandemic too, like, cause like you were just at home all the time, even during the summer. But obviously people went back to work. People went back into the office. People have less time to play video games. So people are still buying a lot more video games than they were pre-pandemic, as far as I know. But also, people are still buying less than they were during the pandemic. So that's why a lot of the layoffs are happening too, because a lot of people invested very heavily in video games and then found out that like, oh, not all of these are going to pan out. And maybe Saudi Arabia is just late, so like slow on the uptake, maybe. So, all right, we have one last headline here. I thought I would get the good headline out of the way first before this sad one. But Udo Kier, one of the leads of Hideo Kojima's upcoming horror game OD Knock, has passed away suddenly this week. So for anyone who doesn't know, Udo Kier was a prolific character actor known for movies like Blade, Trigger Warning, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. He was in Armageddon, which is what I've seen him in, and many, 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 many voice roles. And while we haven't seen any footage of him in OD Knock yet, the PT-esque game Kojima is currently developing, he was set to play one of the leads alongside Sophia Lillis and Hunter Schafer. I theorized that in the OD Knock trailer that came out a few weeks ago, that he was actually the one breathing behind Sophia Lillis. At least that his character was. Anyway, Hideo Kojima had this to say on Twitter. I'm at a loss for words. It all happened far too suddenly. Because of the strike, we weren't able to shoot OD for a long time, and we were forced to reschedule to next year. I think he's talking about the actors and writers' strikes that have been happening recently in the film industry. Even during that time, Udo and I exchanged emails frequently. We stayed in close contact. When we met in Milan at the end of September, he told me how much he was looking forward to the shoot starting up again next year. He was full of energy then too, making me laugh with his usual Udoisms. I still can't believe this. Udo wasn't just an actor, he was truly an icon of his time. We've lost a great icon. There will never be another like him. Udo, rest in peace, I will never forget you. So from the sounds of it, it doesn't sound like if they shot any stuff with him, motion capture, footage, what have you, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
I do hope they can salvage what they did record, if they recorded anything, to put it in the game. But if they were planning to like actually start in earnest next year, I don't know that there would be like he would make the final game. Like that, they probably have to recast him.
Yeah. I don't. And he was a main character in this, or.
Yeah, he had top billing alongside Sophia Lillis. They're the only three actors we know about actually is Sophia Lillis from It. Hunter Schafer from Euphoria and the latest Hunger Games, and Udo Kier as well.
Okay, yeah. It's sad. I'm sure. I mean, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't recognize the actor by name, but I'm sure I've seen him in stuff. I was just checking IMDb. I just muted and Googled that real quick. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I know it's I guess we'll find out maybe. Well, we may or may not find out, depending on like what the about the progress of the game, and if that really if this really delays the launch of it or anything. Because they might not reveal that, to be honest. But I know in some cases they there was another game few months, it's probably a couple of years ago at this point, actually, that came out. It was a new Hellboy game. And it was voiced by, and I'm so sorry, I'm not going to remember the actor's name, but he was the lead voice actor for the game to play Hellboy. And I think they had, just finished, like, recording all of his lines, and then he unfortunately passed. It was a bit bittersweet when the game came out. But I know in that case, like, they had been transparent and said, like, we have finished his lines. He will still be the main, we're not delaying the game.
Lance Reddick?
Is it? Yeah, probably. It was Hellboy, Worm of Weird and Weird is WYRD.
Just checking here, because Lance Reddick was also in...
Let me double check that too.
Horizon.
Worm of Weird. Or sorry, Web of Weird. My apologies. It's because there's a comic called Conqueror Worm in Hellboy. If anyone doesn't know, I'm a big Hellboy fan. So
I do remember Hellboy Web of Weird coming out, but I didn't know whoever was in it passed away beforehand. But let me just check here.
Yeah, it was because he was in oh my gosh.
Yeah, Wikipedia has nothing about it either. It's
I
usually
know.
where I jump off for like a good...
He also played Silas in Horizon. Is that?
Yeah, that's Lance Reddick. So that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
My apologies.
That's Lance Reddick. Unfortunately, he passed away, and he was also Hades, I think. No, sorry, Zeus in the TV version of like the Disney Plus version of Percy Jackson.
Oh, interesting. Oh, that I didn't.
And he was really good too. Like it's really. I mean, obviously he passed away, and that's its own thing. But like,
yeah,
he would have been like he was a great Hades.
Yeah, and I loved him in Horizon. He was a great character in that. He was like very talented. Yeah, so I hope that in this case it doesn't delay it too much. I know sometimes when you have I feel like sometimes when you have a game that like is very similar to PT, there's a little bit of fear for people who are like, I hope it comes out, because there's, PT had that unfortunate curse. But I have every faith that like, they'll continue, working really hard on it, and I'm sure it'll be a great game. It seems like it'll be really, really quite spooky and very interesting. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't delay it too much and doesn't cost, too much if they need to recast people. So. Yeah.
Me too. Well, if they haven't started shooting, they still have time to find someone before that schedule is supposed to start. But that's obviously up to Hideo Kojima and how he feels about the situation and what he wants to do. But
of course.
Anyway, I think we'll wrap up the news there because we're out of headlines now. We're going to take a short break, and after this musical interlude, we'll be back on to talk about Clair Expedition 30, or Clair Obscur. I keep calling it Clair Expedition. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Hi, True Avatars, and welcome back from the break. So, Ekamy. Ekamy is still here. Sometimes my guest leaves after a section, but she's a very graceful celebrity this week.
Oh my gosh.
Offering her time so generously.
Oh yes, all of
grace
my...
us with her presence.
All of the only 1 hour of time I have today between spending half an hour buying Christmas gifts, like...
But yeah, we're going to talk about Clair Obscur. I did it again. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I might even have done it at the beginning of the podcast. Who knows? But anyway, so we recently discovered that this is a queer game because Jennifer English got up to accept an award, I think, on behalf of the game or for her role in the game. And she talked about how she was a lesbian. So therefore, when there's a queer actor in a very prominent role in a video game, I consider that as part of my queer video game rubric to make that a queer game, which means I've been ignoring one of the most popular games all year on this podcast. So anyway, I thought, Ekamy, I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and play it. I have a copy. It's sitting on the shelf. I was going to play it this summer, and then the Steam censorship thing happened. Things got busy. I moved apartments. I got a new puppy. Mm-hmm. So, I didn't have time to sit down and play Clair Obscur Expedition 33, even though, I was really excited to. But, you played it. You enjoyed the heck out of it.
I did. I beat it, in
fact. So I guess my first question for you is, is there anything else that's queer about the game aside from the fact that Jennifer English is in the game?
So not really, explicitly, I will say. There's no characters who outright say, you know, I identify, as queer or anything like that. So I would say that it was, like, there's certainly people who, like, fans who, support, like, you know, there's 2 female characters who, like, have a really, to be honest, I agree. It's a very intimate scene. No one just outright says, you know, like, that they're lesbians or anything. If there was any, like, hint at that, I would say they're bisexual, just because there's, like, canonically in the game, you have the opportunity to play, like, you're playing as a male character, for the for a lot of the game. And you have the opportunity to, like, basically build your relationships with your party. Most of them are women. And, as you build your relationships, they can, like, both of these women can get a little flirty with you, but then they also have that really intimate scene of just them together. And by intimate, I don't specifically mean they, you know, they're, I'm not saying it's definitely romantic. I'm saying, like, they're, like, lying on the grass, their hands are really close, they're speaking about very vulnerable kind of stuff and about how they met, and it's very nice. It's one of my favorite scenes. But overall, I would say there's nothing that's explicitly queer that is said. But Jennifer English's like, award speech when she received that award is really nice. And I would highly recommend that people, like, if they, like, it's a short segment, just like people, I would recommend Google it, look it up. It's just really, like, I feel like she had a really great, way with words with the whole thing. And it gave a really cool, perspective, like different perspective for me of, like, you know, like, when I replay it, I'm like, oh, like, is this what she had in mind? Like, she had more of, like, a, you know, like, I should preface. So she was thanking, like, she was like, I want to thank, like, Queer Joy I really celebrate who I am and who I found, you know, when I found myself. And, you know, like my character, Mael, she went on this great journey. And that's how I felt kind of when I was going through it as well. And so I'm really curious to kind of replay it and, like, keep that in mind of, like, maybe she was kind of thinking about that when she was playing Mael. Cause that would be a really interesting.
Is Mael one of the characters that's, like, almost holding hands in the grass that you were talking about?
No, interestingly, no. Mael is, she's the youngest of the expeditioners. The 2 I was thinking of, are, Ciel and Lune, and they're 31? They're 31 or 32. I can't remember.
Right. And everyone in the game is under the age of 33, right? Because Correct. Of the way the game's premise works. So actually, that's a good starting point, actually. Can you explain, like, what the game is like? What's the premise? It is an RPG. Like, it's inspired by, like, Final Fantasy games. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, that's one of its heavy inspirations. But anyway, yeah, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so you, when you're presented, when you start the game, you're presented, you're put into a world where, you're in a city, which is a fantasy city that's very much, like, based in Paris, France kind of idea. But it's called something else, like, it's called, like, Lumina or something. I can't quite remember, but it's been a bit.
Lumia City from Pokemon?
From Pokemon.
It's not Lumiere, is it?
Lumiere, thank you. I was like, it's Lumina. Lumina is there is Lumina in the game, but it's like your magic system, so it's just a different thing.
Of course.
But yes, Lumiere.
I use my magic system in real life as Lumina as well, so I understand.
Of course, yeah. Continue, yeah. And the game starts, by saying that, like, a gommage is gonna happen. The player doesn't know what a gommage is, unless you're French, in which case that's a French word you might know. But you also don't know, like, what exactly that specifically means. And what it is that in the distance, there's this great pillar, with the number at the time, it's, 34. At the beginning of the game. And there's this being known as the Paintress. She's like a godlike figure. She's like, everybody knows, like, you can't fight the Paintress. Like, she's so powerful. And she's so powerful because, every year, I think on a specific day, but annually, she will appear before this great pillar, this great stone with the number 34 on it, and she'll erase that number, and then she'll like wave her hand and magically like a countdown, it'll say 33 instead. So that's how the game starts. And whenever you are the age that the number shows, gommaging is you basically like disintegrate into petals. It's very similar to like Marvel, like the like
Avengers, like Thanos' snap.
Yeah, very similar to that, except you're like is flower petals instead. So they're gone. That's basically them dying. And so the premise of the game is that.
So I have a question because I haven't seen this answered in like anything. If you're 35 when the 34 thing comes up.
Yeah.
Like, does everyone just above the age of 33 get killed, or is it like specifically everyone that's that exact age dies?
So
so if I'm like 60, I'm okay.
No, so basically it's set up so that when the paintress started doing that, it started at 100 and it's been counting down. So there would be nobody above the age of like, you wouldn't be 60 because you would have been gommaged. Yeah.
Right.
If you were above the age of 100, then yeah, I guess, then they'd be passing. But, that's the idea. Because, so what it was that when she started doing this, Lumiere put together these expeditions, which were like people who volunteered. It's a little bit militaristic. Like they're like, I want to volunteer to join this expedition and fight for Lumiere, and I want to save the world. So they go on these expeditions to go out, and their intention is to kill the paintress. So that's your goal. You are the 33rd expedition. You're all 32. Next year, you're going to be gommaged. So you go on your expedition, and the whole thing is just a great journey in an attempt to get to the paintress. And it is a phenomenal story. It's one of those RPGs that I gotta say, I've been playing fewer and fewer games more lately, partly due to like I'm busy, but partly because there's a part of me that sometimes I just don't have a lot of motivation to play a game. I'm tired. I don't, or I'm like, oh, I'm playing this game, but I don't really feel like playing an RPG. I want to play like a cozy game or, right? And so then I just don't play. And then I doom scroll on my phone, like every millennial my age.
Hold on a second, I gotta check my phone. Just hold on a second.
And I was hearing such really great praise for this game, and one of my best friends played it, and she was like, "You're gonna love it. Like, this is like phenomenal." I'm like, okay. So Aries and I played it, and it's one of those games that I was like, wow, every time I'd get home from work, I'd be like, I really want to play Expedition 33. And it was funny because Aries and I would kind of like go back and forth between like if I was a little further ahead in the game, then, cause Aries was playing it too. If I was further ahead and Aries was a little behind, I would let him play up to the point I was at. And then if I went to bed, he'd play more. And then the next day I could play more because I was behind. So we kind of went back and forth, which was fun.
That's cute.
To avoid spoilers. And, yeah, it was just really good. I finished the game, and literally like 2 weeks later, maybe even less than that, I was like, I want to replay this game. And I don't get that motivation to replay games, like, at all. Like, I just I'm done with the game. That's it. And I might replay it in like a couple years, maybe. But, yeah, I just really liked it. And I'm not really I really don't want to get into spoilers because like, it's one of those like, whoa, like, it has a really good twist. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I had something to say. Brain fart.
Okay.
So you're talking about like the motivation to play games. I think that's interesting because like, for me, yeah, once I'm like, some video games, especially RPGs that have very heavy story, are like TV shows for me. In the sense that like, sometimes like a TV show doesn't start that great, or you're like, I'm not really into this, but like, eventually I feel like it's not that the show gets better. I think that can happen, but I think for the most part, you just start falling in love with the characters and their situations, like the way you would a human being in real life, right? Mm-hmm. You get to know someone, and even though you're not really too attached to them, like, you're just getting to know someone. That's just how we are as people, right? Like, this is generally, like, we have empathy, we care about people, we're invested in stories. And I think JRPGs for me are the most common thing that make me get home and I want to play. Like, the last time there was a AAA game that I really wanted to just play all the time, and I had a reason to keep playing it because I needed to get it done before the concert. because I was going to go see the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth concert.
Right.
And I knew they were going to show spoilers on the screen. And they did. They showed everything. They showed the entire game. So I'm glad I finished it. But like, literally, like, every waking minute I had that it wasn't dedicated to work or eating, I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And, like, I was so invested in this story. And, like, again, the first Final Fantasy VII, like, remake, like, part 1, I was, like, 2 hours into it, I was like, I don't see what the hype is all about. Like, they're not even explaining what's going on here. They just assume you already know.
Yeah.
And then 5 hours in, I was like, oh, now I see why this is so beloved.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was just like I was starting to fall in love with the characters, but also I was starting to understand a little bit more what was going on. But I think, anyway, my point here is I think JRPGs especially that are very like kind of easier to get into from a gameplay perspective because they're generally turn-based. They're like the mechanics, you are generally gradually kind of like thrown in, like not thrown into the deep end with them. Like you learn them as you go, right? There's a lot of room for error. There's time to make mistakes and think about things. But also they're so story heavy. Right? There's usually a very compelling story, very well written characters because it's an RPG. You have to have that, right? I think that's why those kinds of games people fall in love with very easily. And there's fewer and fewer of those games made these days.
Yes.
Right? Like Pokemon is a JRPG, but Pokemon like has been changing things, right? Like there's so much annualization to it. I feel like there's not as thought and care put into the story as like other games, right? Like they're very kind of rushed. Final Fantasy has become less turn-based recently. Even the remakes are like technically not really turn-based. I think Dragon Quest is really the only series that's like still like out there making traditional JRPGs, right? And then you've got indie devs, right? Like, and so to make a big to make the Final Fantasy game that they made, like it's like basically they took classic Final Fantasy and made it 3D is what they did, right? Because even the overworld is still like an overworld. It's not really like an open world like it is in Final Fantasy VII.
Right. Yeah.
So, like Square Enix isn't making they're not making games like Clair Expedition, right? They're evolving Final Fantasy, whereas Clair Expedition not only has, or Clair Obscur has like this like really well done story and combat system, but also it feels like what people wanted classic Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy VI, to become in modern day.
Yeah, I think I feel like a lot of people are really like in a world where, you know, we see a lot more like real time fighting and like switching over from like turn based to just active combat. I think for RPGs we really are like craving that again. Like it's maybe a little different for games where they have always been active, like they didn't do turn-based. Like, for example, Xenoblade has never done that switch from, like, it is active combat. They've never switched to turn-based. And like that, I'm used to that. I really like that. But with games like Persona 5 and in this case, Expedition 33, like it's almost kind of refreshing to be like, wow, we get turn-based again. This is really nice. I will say too, Expedition 33 has an interesting, aspect of its combat in that, in a way, I will say it's maybe
there's quick time events in the battle, right? Like it's not just selecting a move. There's like quick time events to each move.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be a bit of maybe an accessibility barrier. But it's how they teach you in that is that certain enemies will have a time to do their attacks. Cause the whole thing is that if you parry attacks, then you get, like a 1 mana basically back, or one lumina, or not lumina, but you get magic back as you're going. And then you're like, oh, I can use these for skills and do all this stuff. And there's other, like, there's chroma attacks, which are a little bit, more difficult to time in some cases. But every enemy has their own pattern. But at the same time, they have different attacks. So every attack is going to have the same timing, but it's for that specific attack. An enemy could have 3 different attacks. So you have to, like, just in your mind remember, like, okay, this is how that's going to go. In some cases, like I don't know why I'm blanking on the word, but in special cases, basically, with bosses, right? Like, bosses will have the same thing. There is one end game boss that is optional, that I won't spoil the name of, but if you've seen, or if you've played even against him, I've seen like cutscenes against him, I will not attempt this ban. Oh my god. Cause it's, the combos, the attacks are absolutely nuts. Like or they're just wild. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that is like a bit of an exception. But for the most part, it's just kind of like learning attacks and determining like, okay, is it this attack? Okay, I'll parry this. And in some cases you can dodge. The good thing is that if you're like, I don't want to parry, I'm not having a good time parrying because I certainly had some issues with some enemies. Dodging is a lot easier. It's a lot more forgiving. Dodging has more of a window. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's
so kind of like Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door, actually, because Paper Mario doesn't have it has blocking, but it has like you can parry, you can block, and it's all timing based. Like you still select. I mean, it's very different, obviously. Like Paper Mario is not the same as Clair Obscur Expedition 33, but in Paper Mario, though, the Thousand Year Door specifically is like when you do an attack, there is like a quick time event to the attack, even though you're selecting all your moves from a list. Like a turn-based, like RPG combat system. Mm-hmm. When you go do those attacks, you have to press a button to time it. And then when the enemy attacks you, you also have a chance to block it with perfect timing as well.
Right.
And there's a window for like less good timing that gives you a slightly worse block, but still you take less damage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other thing too that's kind of neat is, if you have certain characters in your party, actually, I should say every character has their own style of like how they work, and the game does a really good a job of just introducing you to the different ones. Like my favorite character is CL to play as, also because in general she's like my favorite character, but she has a really interesting combat system where her like. She basically builds up energy, by doing certain attacks and then can just like tank people because she's built up enough, like, kind of like Magic when you have counters and you build up like 10 counters on a monster, you're gonna obliterate, like, someone on the field.
Kind of like Black Panther. I was talking about Marvel again.
Oh,
but, like, he builds up power in his suit and then he goes up,
yeah.
This is not great for audio listeners, but I did the like thing where he builds up the power, crosses his arms, and then he like unleashes all the power in his suit in a big wave of like, I think it's purple energy that he uses, but
I think so, yeah. And then conversely, like we have Lune, who is more of a like, she's more of a mana user, or in mana, I forget the name in the world, but basically she uses like her Lumina powers. And she also can like, basically she can get certain, like her damage is higher if she's like, I'm gonna do a lightning attack. So then when I do a lightning attack, I'll generate 3 lightning orbs. So that means the next time I do a lightning attack, it's gonna be really powerful. And then like there's more like there's other characters that are more melee attack, and they're just heavy hitters. And Mayal is like, you can make Mayal a tank. She could be so powerful. It's wild. So there's a lot of memes going around that I've seen where, they basically just talk about how like, oh yeah, like it'll be like a panel comic or 4 panels or whatever, but it's like, each character attacks the enemy and it does a little bit of damage, and then Mayal goes and like 5 explosions happen. And they're just like, oh my god, this 16-year-old is so powerful. Like, so it's really neat how they did it. And, I believe that the, unrelated to the combat, but related to the game, I believe that the developers have confirmed that they're gonna do more games, and they're gonna make like Expedition 33 is one game in the Clair Obscur
Clair
franchise.
Obscur is the franchise,
yeah.
Right, okay.
So I'm kind of hoping that like, maybe there'll be like queer characters in the game, in future games. I feel like the team seems very open to like that kind, like I get a good feeling about them. So, and it doesn't seem like it would, like, I feel like it would just add more, if they had that kind of depth of characters. And,
awesome.
Yeah. I really liked this game. I can't emphasize how much I want people to play this game. So.
This is probably I always say this every Christmas. I'm going to sit down. I've started so many games for the podcast that I really want to finish. I've started Ghost of Yotei. I've started Metal Gear Solid Delta. I've started Pokemon Legends ZA. Countless others. I want to finish Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door because I feel like I'm about halfway through that now.
Nice.
And it's good. Like I didn't stop it because I haven't stopped any of these games because I wasn't enjoying it. It's just like every week I'm either busy or playing a different game for the podcast.
Yeah.
But this is a game I've wanted to play all year. In fact, I think I pre-ordered the game because I could already, I kind of already clocked how good it looked. And I'm glad I did because it was for a while, it was out of stock and I just didn't have time to play it. Which is unfortunate, but, I am glad to hear that they're planning more games in the series.
Me too.
Because if that's true, like, I think we desperately need another RPG series, like a JRPG series, that is. And obviously it's not made by Japanese developers, but it is the style of Japanese RPG.
Yes.
But that is like more traditional, but also still like AAA looking and 3D and like has a living, breathing world instead of like this top-down pixel art style. Because there's nothing wrong with that style, but like, I think people are hungry for like a Final Fantasy game that actually plays like classic Final Fantasy, but still looks like modern Final Fantasy. And I don't see Square doing that.
Yeah.
Personally, I think I actually like their active time. I think the Final Fantasy VII combat system needs to become their main combat system in future games. But I also think if games are going to take forever to make, especially big AAA RPGs, spend your 10 years making the next Final Fantasy. But in the meantime, get a smaller team to do Final Fantasy 17 as like a top-down HD 2D, lower budget, classic style, JRPG, and then have the team work on this big active time. Like, do alternate. And I think Pokemon should do that too. I think all these companies that have these like long running series, right? Make your 3D Zelda, make your 2D Zelda. Make your 2D Mario, make your 3D Mario. Alternate between these because then people are still getting that itch to scratch. Budgets are being kept in check. And also those big AAA games that you want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on still get made. But also Clair Obscur couldn't have been made for hundreds of millions of dollars, which is reassuring because why does Square need to spend that much money on a game that maybe doesn't need to have that much money spent on it? Because people love it.
Yeah. And it was really interesting when I started playing it too, because one of the things that, I also know, I was like, I know it's not like a massive, but it was like a sizable budget, but it wasn't like a massive one that you would usually expect for AAA. And I remember when I started playing it, I played it on PS5. And I remember being like, oh, like there's some, like, I remember looking at Gustav, your main character, and I was like, oh, there's some interesting, like, shadow, like work on his face. And I actually thought it was like a graphical error because it looked a little bit like, it looked like polygony. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me see if I can adjust some settings and like do this. And ultimately I was like, okay, no, this is the style of the game. Okay, cool. Like, I'll get used to this. And like, it's not like a graphical, like, it's not like a negative graphical thing, but at the time I was like, oh, like, I thought like this was, I didn't think I'd see a glitch or something. Like, I thought it was a glitch, but playing through the game, like, it does, like, again, like, I was brought back to my time of like, I don't actually mind that much about like graphical power, to be honest. Like, half the time, if I'd really enjoy a game for the story, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Like, one of my favorite, like, JRPGs and RPGs in general is Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. And that game on the Wii looks super pixely and like, it's not, for the Wii, it was amazing, but sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just gonna say, you're there for the gameplay and the story. You're not there for like the visual, like the graphics. And stuff like that.
And I almost felt kind of bad when I was like, after I started playing more, I was like, wow, I was so fixated on trying to make it look nice in the settings, like at the start, cause I'm so used to just like, really high quality graphical games that I just forgot about like years ago, I wouldn't have, I love Nintendo. Nintendo hasn't always been like, high in the graphical kind of, high res department. And so I was just like, oh, but they make beautiful games. I just meant like compared to like,
No, yeah. They focus on art style, making it cohesive over like making sure things look like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example.
Yes.
We're never gonna have a Zelda game that looks like that.
No. Yeah.
Intentionally so. Like, they could do it, but they don't choose to.
Yes. So afterwards I was like, yeah, like I really was quite taken with the story. And, if they, for future games, like obviously they're going to look a little nicer, like just with technology and with budget that they've got. Cause I know they've won like so many awards for this game already. And if it doesn't steal the Game Awards, I would be surprised. Although there was a lot of, like, I think the comparison I've seen online, which kind of makes me laugh, is like the game of the year is just, Expedition 33 and Silk Song just duking it out, and I'm like, yeah, that will be difficult because I know Silk Song, I haven't played it, but I know it's a very good game and it's well anticipated. So, yeah,
I think Silk Song will get a couple categories. But I do think Expedition 33 is going to take home most awards this year.
Yeah. I think
rightfully so, supposedly so.
It's quite good. It's and there's also some pretty big actors in or well, big-ish. They're big-ish film actors who are in Expedition 33. Like we have
Charlie Cox for sure is the biggest actor in it, but he doesn't want to be nominated. He's like he's like the people that animated my character and he's like and the person who mocapped my character. He just did the voice. He didn't mocap.
Yeah, he was a different actor for the mocap. He was great. He's good stuff. He's your main character. He's really cool. And
for anyone who doesn't know, also going back to Marvel, he plays Daredevil
yes.
in the Netflix and Disney Plus series. Mm-hmm. And he's awesome in that role, by the way. Like really good.
Watch that show.
That's so good. Skip season 2.
Yeah, fair. And then the other one is Andy Serkis. He plays a villain.
Oh right, I forgot he was in that.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Which I didn't know at all.
Anyone who doesn't know, he played Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And also, speaking about Marvel, he also played Ulysses Claw in Black Panther.
I didn't. Oh right, I remember now. Yeah. I was like, he was in that. Yes, he was. So some pretty big names that I didn't really even realize until after, and then I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Yeah, and I want to replay the game again. I'm just talking about it. I'm like, I want to go it again. It's a good one.
Well, this is a shorter podcast, so I guess I'll let you go. If you have any final thoughts, I'm happy to hear them. But I've got to get back to doom scrolling.
Yeah, no, our scheduled doom scrolling.
And you got to get back to playing. Yeah,
I gotta get back to playing
Expedition 33.
I gotta go buy Christmas gifts and then replay Expedition 33. Busy day.
So if you play it again, is it Expedition 32 or Expedition 34? That's a bad joke. Don't laugh at that. That's horrible. One of the worst jokes I've ever made by far.
Oh my god. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll definitely replay it when I turn 33 in 2 years, and it's gonna be weird. Yeah. But yeah.
Really get yourself in the mindset there.
Yeah.
Your mortality.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up for today?
I think that's about it. I think we talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, so.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play this. Hopefully I get some time to play this over the Christmas break, but, there's also other, I have up there Cyberpunk and Expedition 33. I don't know if you'll be able to see them on the podcast, but they are sitting behind me. I try to put a couple games every week. I really wanted to play Cyberpunk on Switch too. And then I just, it's late June when this came out, and I had it. I just did not have time to play it. And then by the time I did have time to play it, Donkey Kong was out, and I was like, well, gotta play Donkey Kong. And then Donkey Kong fell off as well. Anyway, it's been a year. It's been a year. Also, some of the gaming time I would have spent in the years past is also now spent on the podcast. So double-edged sword.
and part of me too is like, I'll for those watching on the video podcast, I'm like, I'll wear my In Stars in Time shirt to just subliminally be like, so will you play that game too?
Oh yeah. I've been talking to Adrienne about that. I'm pecking away at it. Pecking away at it. That is the game that when I actually sit down to have an uninterrupted day of gaming, it's probably going to be that.
Yeah.
I played Start Again earlier this year, the prologue, kind of demo version and I loved it. The second it wrapped up, I think I bought the game at full price because I was like, I can't wait for this on sale. I gotta play this. Because I was going to wait for a sale, and then I think I bought it at full price because I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. So when it's a game I'm not sure about, I try to get it on sale, even though it's an indie game and it's a queer game, but I think I did end up buying it at full price because I think Start Again ended up being $2. I was like, well, that's cheap. And it's a demo basically. I can see if I like it. And then I was like, wow, damn, I got to play the rest. There's more of this.
Yeah.
If anyone wants a bite-sized version of this game, go on Steam and play Start Again.
Yeah, agree.
Because it's a little micro version of the game. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah. And also, if you're tired of the whole Groundhog Day-ness to a lot of media these days, because I feel that's a premise that reared its head in the last 5-10 years. This is one of the best versions of it. This is
yeah, it does.
If you're tired of it, you won't be tired of this version of it.
Yeah, it does a really interesting twist on it, I think, and yeah, it's really cool. And the other nice thing is that if you play Start Again, it does play into a specific ending, which is called the Two Hats ending of the main game. So if you have that knowledge, it's just a little sweeter. You could be like, oh great, a little bit extra something for playing the other game.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Where can people find you, Ekamy, if they want to follow your celebrity butt?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at just Ekamy, Ekamy, and also Blue Sky and Instagram. I believe Instagram has some underscores before and after my name. That's the only difference.
Yeah, Ekamy is a benevolent god on this blessed day. So.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
No, thanks so much for joining me and gracing us with your presence.
Oh,
And,
thank you.
I think we're going to get a huge boost in listeners
Oh
and
my
audience this
God.
week because like celebrity Ekamy is on the podcast.
Next time I see you in person,
I'm getting punched in the face.
Yeah, they're gonna smack you in the head. Yeah.
That's valid. I'll take that. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you around.
Yeah. See ya. Thank you.
And that just about wraps up this week's show. Thanks, True Avatars, for joining me for another episode of your Queer Video Game Podcast. By listening to the show, you are supporting queer-made content, which is more important than ever. If you want to support True Avatars, it would be really great if you could leave a comment, rating, or review on your preferred podcast platform. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube under the handle @TrueAvatars, all one word, and on Facebook and Instagram under True Avatars. If you are watching on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, as well as hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know when new content drops. I welcome you to check out the official website, trueavatarspodcast.com. That's all one word, trueavatarspodcast.com. On the website, you can sign up for the newsletter, where you can get exclusive news and updates on the show. Bye, True Avatars. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking with you all again next week. Take care and stay safe.